Did Jesus call God Allah? It seems the Muslim world has its share of apologists who insist that Jesus actually used the word Allah or a variation of it when speaking the name of God. They use this argument to suggest that Allah is somehow the real name for God. But it simply is a false argument. However, it is a confusing and convincing argument if a person does not know the truth and does not understand some basic facts about ancient Semitic languages. The Semitic languages are a group of closely related languages whose living representatives are spoken by more than 470 million people across much of the Middle East, Northern Africa, and the Horn of Africa. Three of the most widely spoken Semitic language forms are Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic. These three languages, then, are very closely related to one another. Aramaic script was widely adopted for other languages and is ancestral to both the Arabic and modern Hebrew alphabets. This is why their respective alphabets are so similar. Arabic has more speakers than any other language in the Semitic language family. It is spoken by more than 280 million people as a first language, most of whom live in the Middle East and Northern Africa. It is the official language of 22 countries, and it is the liturgical language of Islam, since it is the language of the Quran. Culturally, the Semitic language of Hebrew is considered the language of the Jewish people. Hebrew in its modern form is spoken by most of the 7 million people in Israel today, while classical or ancient Hebrew has been used for prayer or study in Jewish communities around the world for over 2,000 years. The core of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, and most of the rest of the Hebrew Bible, or the Old Testament, is written in ancient or classical Hebrew. Biblical Hebrew scholars believe that classical Hebrew flourished around the 6th century BC, around the time of the Babylonian exile. For this reason, Hebrew has been referred to by the Jews as the holy language since the most ancient of times. It is generally agreed that the historical Jesus primarily spoke Aramaic, along with some Hebrew, and perhaps even some Greek, which was widely spoken in the major cities of the Mediterranean basin during Jesus' time. The towns of Nazareth and Capernaum, where Jesus lived and moved, were primarily Aramaic-speaking communities. We have no record of Jesus ever speaking directly in the Arabic language, but we do know that he spoke in Hebrew and in Aramaic. The general Hebrew word for God is Elohim, not Allah. In Aramaic, the root word for God is Elah, but in the emphatic state, it is Allah. Depending on particular dialect, though, the vowels could pretty much be anything. Elaha, Eloho, Aloho, Alaha, etc. These vowel shifts in the Aramaic language happen so often that many linguists today have simply given up on trying to track them all. In Western dialects of Aramaic, the dialect that Jesus of Nazareth would have spoken, the emphatic distinction was somewhat preserved, so one would hear an occasional Elah in a sentence here and there, but only in a situation where it was grammatically necessary. For example, in the book of Mark, where Jesus spoke Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, the Aramaic word that he is speaking is Elah-I, or my God, Elah-I. So in short then, in some cases the word Jesus used may sound similar to Alo or Allah, but it is a disingenuous stretch to say that Jesus used the pure Arabic word Allah to refer to God. He simply did not do so. In conclusion then, Allah is simply the standard Arabic word for God. It is used by Arabic speakers of all Abrahamic faiths, whether Christian or Jew. The corresponding biblical Aramaic form, which Jesus spoke, is Ilah. The Allah of the Muslims is not the God of the Bible. Their own Quran makes this crystal clear. And now you know the truth.